DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. A lot of players ask me questions about doing fancy moves, like how do I do this fancy Derrick Rose layup, or how do I do this fancy crossover, or how I do this ankle breaker move, or whatever. And a lot of players need to realize, I'm making this video so a lot of players can realize that the fancy stuff is like putting icing on a cake. If any of y'all ever ate a cake before, birthday cake, wedding cake, whatever kind of cake, you know that when you go to the store to get the cake, you know the cake mix comes in that cardboard box, right? Now you got to go and make the cake first before you can put the icing on it. Now the icing, that's what we talking about basketball metaphors. The icing is the fancy moves, the crossovers, the acrobatic layups and all that stuff. The highlight plays you see on SportsCenter and on, I guess, on YouTube. That's the icing on the cake. But you got to make the cake first. And when you make a cake, you got to get the cake batter. You need some eggs. You got to put some salt in it. You might need some like vegetable oil or whatever other ingredients got to go into the cake. But it takes some work to make a cake. Like if you ever seen somebody make a cake, your grandma or your mom, your dad, your sister, you go to a bakery or something, they got to put all those ingredients together. They got to mix them up in the bowl. After they do all that, then they got to put it in the oven, and the cake got to bake for like an hour or 2 hours. Then when it's done, then you can put the icing on the cake. Putting the icing on the cake take like 5 minutes. All right, that's the fancy moves. All right, metaphorically speaking, it takes 5 minutes to develop some fancy moves. But a lot of y'all are ignoring the fact that you got to put in 1 to 2 hours to actually make the cake. And you got to go to the store, get all the ingredients, then you put the cake together. A lot of y'all want to put icing on a cardboard box. You got to make the cake first. All right, you got to put the years in. I say it take you 10 years to put in work to develop some actual game. Develop some game so that you a basketball player first, then worry about the fancy stuff. All right, so make the cake first. You know, get the ingredients, get the batter, put it all together, put it in the oven, let it cook, let it bake, rather. Take it out the oven, let it cool off, follow all the instructions. I got all the videos here. Hopefully, I'm not going too far over anybody's head with this metaphor. Follow all the instructions, let the cake cool off, then put the icing on the cake. And a lot of you that have had cake know that cake can taste good even without the icing. Sometimes I like to eat cake with no icing on it. I just like the basic cake. That's just basic fundamental basketball for those of you not understanding what I'm talking about. So you got to make the cake first. Go get the batter, you know, get the eggs, get the salt, get the vegetable oil, get whatever else to say. Read the box, find out what you need, read the box, pay attention so you know what you're doing, then put the icing on the cake. So in a nutshell, work on your game first, be fancy second, then worry about being Derrick Rose. If you need a tutorial on doing a move like Derrick Rose, you shouldn't be doing that move. DreAllDay.com. It was a move used mostly by Chris Paul, where you put a spin on the ball in one hand. So you see I go behind the back, little jump stop as I put the ball around my back, and then I go